How's my pretty face? We start late.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion, delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And then remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. 1990. Before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured
I got
guest.
a bad feeling about this.
Yes, Jim Norton is in the house. Welcome.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you again, we're going to celebrate today. If my computers would stop doing all this garbage stuff, I'd know that we are celebrating National Vanilla Ice Cream Day. Okay, I like vanilla ice cream. Doesn't go too well with my diet, but then again, you know, it's a journey. Oh, you got a cone on there and everything.
Add fruit.
Add fruit. Yeah, that makes it a healthy.
Makes it healthy.
Okay, and then you've got what are you going to put on the vanilla ice cream? Or what are you going to put the vanilla ice cream on? A little bit of chocolate pie, maybe. We like.
That's not fruit.
Okay, how about on strawberry pie?
There you go.
Strawberry pie a la mode. Okay. So we like that one as well.
I like that one.
Let's see what else. We got this tab that wants to talk to me, and I don't like that. Let's see. Gorgeous Grandma Day.
Interesting.
My wife doesn't listen to the broadcast, so. You know, I'm not going to get in too much trouble for this one. Let's see what else we've got. Oh, here's one that you know, I've never been a biggie on this, but I have been lately since I've been taking my shots and following the rules like I'm supposed to. Lemon Day, National Lemon Day. So I usually have around me somewhere, and it's in my car right now. I keep a Yeti filled with warm water and lemon. You know, it quenches the thirst, gives the water a little more flavor when you're trying to lose weight. One of the big things there is having a lot of water, so it's kind of boring. You know, I just buy lots of lemons, slice them in half. I've got a juicer at the house. I got fresh lemon right in the water, and it's good. It's good, and you know, it's helped. I'm 70 some pounds now. I'm getting close to 80 pounds lost. So if you want to follow the journey, rsrlinks.com/shot, rsrlinks.com/shot. I guess I'm in Southern California, so I guess it's probably not healthy to say shot. But you know, Yes, I think we've got a. Yeah, I know. So, but I do it anyway. So we've got that going on. Let's see. Should we take a look and see what the markets are doing today? We've got a lot going on in the markets. Not a lot in the bond market, but we've got the Dow Jones. Whoa! I hadn't seen this one. It's taken a bit of a turn since I looked last. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 421 points. NASDAQ is up 71.49. The S&P 500 is up 38.75. Oil down 10 cents a barrel. We're not going to even worry about gas prices. What's driving? Because we're in California and it's painful.
There's no gas here.
We like to avoid pain on Ron Siegel Radio, so we'll just avoid that number for right now. But what's driving the markets right now? I mean, I'm looking at the 10-year Treasury. It's up 4 basis points. I'm looking at the mortgage-backed securities. Those are down 16 basis points.
Tariff announcement?
What's driving all this? Not a whole heck of a lot, right? There's nothing. If I look at the economic calendar for what's important, there's really nothing on the calendar that's telling me there's anything of importance. I'm looking at crude oil. So 3.1 down 3.16 million barrels. We're looking at existing home sales down 2.7%. Existing 3.93 million is our annualized pace. Not a whole lot driving the market. There's nothing that's pushing the markets. Now, you're not going to hear this discussion a whole lot. Did you see that deal that the president got with Japan? I mean, talk about is it a tariff deal or is it an investment deal? Right? I mean, you look at it and you say, now I don't remember, was what $500 billion that Japan is going to hand over to the U.S. government? Okay, now think about this. I would love this deal if I could get it, although, my name's not Trump and I don't have the United States of America backing me up. But if you look at that tariff deal that the U.S. got with Japan, it's the U.S. is only going to put 15% tariffs on Japan. Okay, I get it there. But then Japan is going to hand the U.S. $550, I think it's $billion. And the U.S. gets to invest it however the U.S. sees fit. And the split of the profit goes 90% to the U.S., 10% back to Japan. Brilliant. You think about that. Get free money to go invest as you want, and you're only going to pay 10% of the profits to the person giving you the money. Now, I don't know about you, but I could go and make a lot of money if I had $550 billion of somebody else's money to go and invest, and they're basically an equity partner. You do good, you make money. You don't do good, you don't owe anything. There's really no interest rate there. It's the same as somebody buying stock in a company, and they don't have, but in this case, there's no ownership deal to it. So
he didn't have a specific business?
No, it wasn't
Not automaker or nothing?
I don't think there's anything tied to it as to what they're doing with the money. So it's a pretty sweet deal that the US has with China on that. And now what is the US going to do with the money? And I'm sorry, Japan. But what's the US going to do with the money? Here's the big issue that you're not going to hear from the CBO, the Democrats, the mainstream media, which is basically out of business. But here's what they're not going to tell you. The money goes into the general fund. Well, that's where all money goes to. It goes into the general fund. So when the money goes into the general fund, that means there's less need to issue bonds to cover the debts. If there's less need for bonds, that means the supply of U.S. bonds goes down. When the supply goes down, if the demand stays even, that means that the price is going to drop because everybody wants them. Everybody wants something that there's nothing there of. So the price is going to go up, which means the interest rates will go down. Brilliant move. Brilliant move. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, what's happening in the real estate market today? I'm going to throw something at Jim Norton today that I haven't even told him about, but I'm going to get his take on it. and the U.S. foreclosure map. You need to see this. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Our off-air number, it's 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. 1990, the Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They only tell us the number you need to put in your mortgage calculator to find out what your principal and interest payment will be. What did rates do yesterday? Well, you don't have a mortgage calculator? rsrlinks.com/mobile app. rsrlinks.com/mobile app. Now, what did rates do yesterday? Well, they were almost all down. Conventional 30-year fix, 6.712. Jumbo 30-year fix, 6.767. FHA 30-year fix, 6.452. VA 30-year fixed, 6.321. Every one of those were down. The only one that was up was the USDA loan, 30-year fix, 6.477. And the best loan on the market, the Home Select All-in-One loan, that stayed the same. I got to love that loan, though. Hey, if you want our thoughts about the market, we're going to be putting out a weekend market commentary as well. Go to rsrlinks.com/HBOD. rsrlinks.com/HBOD. We'll have that for you. Let's see what's driving the markets today. What is happening with the markets right now? Well, we've got the NASDAQ up 45.5 points. The 10-year Treasury, as I speak right now, that one is up 4.4 basis points. And the mortgage bond, that is down 12 basis points. When the bond goes down, interest rates go up. But 12 basis points is not telling us a whole heck of a lot. Big news overnight was the deal with Japan following deals put together with the Philippines and Indonesia yesterday. It's been reported that the U.S. is currently negotiating with Taiwan, and the EU is going to be presenting a trade proposal in the coming days. As mentioned earlier in the week, Besson said talks with China are going well, and that they're likely to extend the August 12th deadline to put a deal together. Now, I love listening to some of these things because the EU, they want to act big and tough and strong, and they said, well, we're already going to put retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. Okay, why don't you call Canada and see how that worked out for them? Because with 75% of Canadian exports going to the U.S., when they decided to put tariffs on the U.S. and the U.S. said, okay, well, we're just going to increase the tariffs further. Well, what do you think is going to happen with French wine or German cars? Now, we've got cars here. We don't need to worry about Germany and their cars. And I'll submit I like the California wines better than the French wines. But what's going to happen to the French economy if they don't have the U.S. to send their wine to? So let's see how those tariffs work out for you, EU. Existing home sales fell 2.7% in June to 3.93 million unit annualized pace, which was worse than the 0.7% drop expected. The report measures closings in June, which likely reflects people shopping and signing contracts in April and May when rates were higher and above 7% for much of that time. Sales are well below where they would be at this time of year, which means there is a lot of pent-up demand that continues to grow. A drop in rates would likely result in a big surge in purchases. The median home price rose 2.7% month over month and 2.72% from last year to $435,500. Remember, median home price is good for nothing. It only tells us what the mix of homes being sold is. It has nothing to do with value of homes. And I asked the late Essie Adibi one time from Chapman University, why do they use it? And he said, Ron, it's worthless, but it's consistent. Consistently worthless. So they have to use consistent numbers in order to maintain. So I digress. Putting together the pace of sales and inventory, there's a 4.7 month supply of homes, which is slightly higher than 4.6 months in May. Houses remained on the market for 27 days, unchanged from the previous month. 21% of homes sold above the list price, which was down from 29% last year. First-time home buyers made up 30% of transactions, unchanged from last month and up from 29% last year, while cash buyers made up 29% of transactions, up from 27%. Investors made up 16% of transactions, down from 17% previously, and 16% at the same time last year. NAR chief economist Lawrence Yun said, quote, the record high median price highlights how American homeowners' wealth continues to grow, a benefit of home ownership. The average homeowner's wealth has expanded by $140,900 over the past 5 years. Multiple years of undersupply are driving record high home prices. Home construction continues to lag population growth. So think about that one. And I've got a real estate report card for any address, any zip code that you want. And we can talk about that anytime you want. That is the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make a call. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. So let's have a chat. Our friend Jim Norton is in the house.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Yes, when Jim and I get together, sometimes there's fireworks and sometimes we get off the beaten path.
We do.
But Jim, I noticed an article this morning, thanks to my friend ChatGPT,
Okay.
that the number of people that are buying homes that are over 70 is growing faster than the population of people of the young first-time home buyers.
What location?
Well, it was a national article.
It has
so
a national article. Okay, that probably very true. Everybody's cashing out that equity, buying a cheaper home and out of state. We're in California, obviously, so a lot of people.
Does it make
out of
sense to you
state.
that would be happening?
Yes, because they're using half of it goes to buy the home, pay cash, no house payment, and the other half goes into the bank account for retirement. I can easily understand why they're cashing.
Continue just the spending and lifestyle.
Yeah, because we got to remember cost of living in California is high. I'm not going to throw any numbers on it or anything, but it is high. It's expensive to live here. And you could
just
move
to fill up your car with gas is expensive,
right? You can move to Arizona, just next door. It gets better. You go to Texas, it gets better. All the way out to Georgia. But depends on. I mean, California people that say I'm not leaving, they usually quote the weather. The ones that say, "Well, I want fiscal responsibility," then they move. But
and then they want that other place they want to take their California thought process and politics.
Some do
to the other area.
Some do, and I think some just want to get away from all the jibber jabber, lack of a better word. I think some people just want to get quiet again. In California, it used to be quiet. You used to talk about the weather more, and now you always talk about who's doing this, who's doing that. I mean, just watch the news for 5 minutes.
Do I have to?
No, you don't have to. That's why it's depressing. But from a real estate standpoint, it's definitely slowing down in California and in Southern California. We are slowing down. Sales have slowed. Time on market is extended. Amount of inventory is coming up a little. That's because I think not because more people are deciding to sell and do something. I think it's just the same amount. The buyers aren't scooping up everything as soon as it comes on market. Everything is definitely stretching out. We're in the doldrums of summer. It's July, really August. We won't get back in swing probably a little bit till the fall. We'll get a surge, and then we'll wait again for the spring. But right now, it's definitely interest rates. They're probably a little bit to do with it. But on the other hand, if interest rates go down and the fire, it gets hotter to grab, the market gets hotter, you're missing out. You should be grabbing right now.
People are going to be upset that they waited.
Yes, exactly. That's
I
got
was
it.
Counseling with somebody this morning and yesterday about interest rates, and I said, they're looking at it and saying, okay, well, this is a big, big decision. And yes, buying a house is a big decision.
Yeah.
I don't want
especially at these rates.
I don't. Well,
yeah.
I don't
it's a
wanna
good
make
chunk
light
of money
that.
now. Yeah.
But what I look at and say, okay, there's no doubt in my mind, and I could be wrong, but there's no doubt in my mind that by May of next year, interest rates are going to be lower. I think it'll be sooner than that, but at least by the time we get a new Fed chairman, when this one's expires.
Well, you're also going to get the economic machine that's been put in place is going to start. It takes a year, it doesn't you just don't step on the gas in the economy. It takes a year. So in a year, as all these tax breaks and everything else comes into play, and all this investment you were quoting earlier, the investment from Japan, all the investment for different countries, the opening up of other markets, as that business increases, it's going to put downward pressure on interest rates anyways, because
so here's the thought, Jim, is if I'm right, so we look at
which you never are wrong. Never.
If I'm right, and I am,
and I am.
Interest rates will be lower in May.
Right.
So we're talking about if somebody buys a house today, their first mortgage payment isn't going to be until September.
Correct.
So you've got 3 payments this year, 3 payments or 4 payments next year. So if you even have to pay an extra $250 a month, and you do that for 6 months, that's $1,500.
Right.
So you're not talking. People think about these massive long-term decisions.
Yeah, they think they're going to be at 7% for 30 years, and they could be, but at the same time, if interest rates come down, the beauty of real estate is you can refi.
Right.
I mean, people understand that it's a gift that you can refi. So if you did come up in the high side and it goes to the low side, I mean, I don't think the gift is going to get down to 3% again. Let's talk about that when we come back, because I hope it doesn't get to 3%. I would agree. I think it was.
We'll talk about it when I come back.
Yeah.
You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. The U.S. foreclosure map you need to see, and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The U.S. foreclosure map you need to see. Foreclosure headlines are making noise again, and they're designed to stir up fear to get you to read them. But what the data shows is actually happening in the market tells a very different story than what you might be led to believe. So, before you jump to conclusions, it's important to look at the full picture. Yes, foreclosure starts are up 7% in the first 6 months of the year, but zooming out shows that's nowhere near crisis levels. Here's why. Filings are still far below crash levels, even with the recent uptick. Overall foreclosure filings are still very low. In the first half of 2025, just 0.13% of homes had filed for foreclosure. That's less than 1% of homes in this country. In fact, it's even far less than that at under 0.25%. That's a very small fraction of all the homes out there. But like with anything else in real estate, the numbers vary by market. So if you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490, FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a chart of the homes that are for sale by market. Percentage of homes with foreclosure filings per state, January to June of 2025. California, 0.1%. 0.1%. For context, data from Adams shows in the first half of 2025, 1 in every 758 homes nationwide had a foreclosure filing. That's the 0.13% you can see in the map. But in 2010, back during the crash, Mortgage News Daily says it was 1 in every 45 homes. So think about that, 1 in 758 versus 1 in 45. Today's numbers don't indicate a market in trouble, but here's what everyone remembers. Leading up to the crash, risky lending practices left homeowners with payments they eventually could not afford. That led to a situation where many homeowners were underwater on their mortgages when they couldn't make their payments. They had no choice but to walk away. Foreclosures surged and the market ultimately crashed. Today's housing market is very different. Lending standards are stronger. Homeowners have near record levels of equity, and when someone hits financial trouble, that equity means many people can sell their home rather than face foreclosure. As Rick Sharga, founder of CJ Patrick Company, explains, a significant factor contributing to today's comparatively low levels of foreclosure activity is that homeowners, including those in foreclosure, possess an unprecedented amount of home equity, unquote. No one wants to see a homeowner struggle. But if you're a homeowner facing hardship, talk to your mortgage provider. You may have more options than you think. Bottom line, recent headlines may not tell the whole story, but data does. Foreclosure activity remains low by historic standards and is not a sign of another crash. If you're simply watching the market and want to understand what's really going on or how this impacts the value of your home, hey, there's two things. Number one, give me a call at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990, and we can talk about it. Or you can quite simply see what's going on in your neighborhood, see what your house is worth. rsrlinks.com/homewealth. rsrlinks.com/homewealth. Give me a call again. I'll help you separate fact from fear by showing you what the data really shows. We've got that real estate report card for every address in the country. So all you have to do, you don't have to do a whole heck of a lot. You just have to make a phone call. We've got all the data. We pay for all the services that go out and look for that. You just have to be able to use a phone or send a text message, email, smoke signal, DM, any of the above. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Continuing our conversation with Jim Norton, we were talking before the break about interest rates. And one of the fun things when Jim comes in is he's older than me. So we can actually go back further and remember the 80s, the 70s, right? And I don't remember the 60s much, Jim, because I was pretty young then.
Yeah, right.
But you know something? The only time, I had somebody the other day say to me they got a loan in early 60s at like 1.75%. And I'm going, okay, well, I don't remember that one, but I'd have to look it up to see. But in my recollection, the only time we've ever been below like 4% was in the time of right after the Great Recession, right? And again, then with the
Which
COVID,
which one are you now calling the Great Recession?
yeah, the time of 2008 with 2009, 10, whatever.
Yeah.
And then post COVID,
Yeah.
right? COVID time.
Well,
Those are two times that we had extraordinary economic situations. And I don't know about you, I don't want to go back to an extraordinary economic situation.
no,
again.
I agree with you there. It's funny. I look back and think end of the 90s, 99, just before the turn, 2000.
.com.
No, before the just before the .com bust,
Okay.
rates were 7-ish.
Yeah.
Almost under 8, but not lower than 7. So right about where we are kind of where we are today.
Historic
And
numbers are
then the
about
.com
7.2.
bust came in. Nobody can understand how you made money and how your stock went up and you never produced anything. I don't understand that economic model either. But that was a strange bust. And then we moved into the 2005 to 2008 was another debacle type of thing. I remember 95 was another debacle. That was the S&L crisis.
Sure.
And then we turned around 10 years later, did it again with lending practices. People were getting loans with 500 FICOs. And they were,
Is there a problem with that?
they were, I don't know. And then they were walking from houses and then buying another one with nothing down. It was incredible. And so, yeah, you can understand why that bust happened. And so then COVID came along, and then government pumped so much money into the economy, and then that dried up, and that sent us right up at the 7%. You can look back and you can see it all, but where we are going now is a very calm market. It's actually it's a very good market right now in terms of buying. You just have to change your position. If you're selling your 3% loan to buy a bigger house, let's say you have a townhome and you got a 4% loan. Let's be nice. So you got a 4% loan and you decided we need more room and you want to buy the house that's available and you sell it and you want to buy it. You got to remember, you're not going to have a 4% loan anymore. You got to look at your overall cash flow and everything that you're doing. You got to have a little bit more brain on it. And, but it is able to buy that house still.
So I'm going to talk to you, Jim, and I started sharing this with you, but let's think about this concept. How would you like, you've got that 3% loan and you want to buy another house. And I don't care whether you're old like you and I, Jim, and you want to right size, get something a little smaller.
All right.
Or if you're young and want to get something a little bit bigger. How would you like to have it where the government makes your mortgage payment for you?
Well, you'd love it. Now we got to explain it because that's the hard part.
So
is
here we
people
go.
Understanding it. It's like, one real quick one is people are scared of older people are scared of reverse mortgages. And it's like, it's just a loan. It's just a different way to do a loan. And that's what people have to understand. It's not a scam. It's been around now for almost 30 years.
Sure. In fact, it was changed in 1985 to make it better.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Go through your scenario.
Everybody understands whether you like it or not, and I don't care. Right. The big, beautiful big bill or big, beautiful bill is now no longer a bill. It's a law.
It's
right. So it's a law of the land.
Right.
There is a section in there for businesses to accelerate depreciation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you have a business and you own a car or you want to go buy a car, if it's over 6,000 pounds, you can actually write the whole thing off in year one.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
that used to be what they called the farm vehicle law. Now,
exactly.
Now it's in there.
Okay. So this is part of the law.
Yeah.
Now you've got that condo, your first home, or you've got a bigger home that you got a 3% loan on, a 2.5% loan on. Go and get a home equity line of credit for whatever you need, right? And whatever it's going to take for your down payment of your acquisition property. Okay?
Yep.
You're going to buy the new property for you to live in. Now, I highly recommend you have the right strategy. So if you're one of those people that says, I'm going to never ever refinance that new home, okay, then we want to buy down the rate. Right? If you're not going to be one of those people that's going to, if you have no problem with refinancing the lower rates, then we do it that way. Okay, so now you've got two houses. You've got that original house.
Mhm.
What are you going to do with it? You make it into a rental property. Rental property, by definition, is a business.
Right.
And part of the accelerated depreciation says you can write that off, the cost of the property, instead of now being over, I think it was 25 years, you can do it over 1 year, or you can do it in between. Again, I'm not giving tax advice. You got to go to your CPA for this.
Yeah.
But if you're paying $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in taxes, and you can now write off, $50,000 or $60,000 or $100,000 on that property, I think your tax bill just went to zero.
Yep. And that all went back in your pocket.
Okay, and that's being used to make the payment on your new property.
Right. Right.
Right. So think about all those people that are landlocked right now. If they understood what I just said,
Let's
think about your thought there, Jim, because we got to take a break.
Okay.
And then we're going to come back and dive into this
Let's
in depth.
let's keep going on this, because I got a twist for you.
Okay, we're going to talk about that when we come back.
right.
How about the government? You save money on your taxes to buy a new house. Let's talk about that. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. So I'm not going to give you a whole story today. I'm going to tell you something that's going to lead into our conversation with Jim Norton. In the United States, there is one tax code. We all know that there's one tax code. It's about 70,000 pages long. Well, really, the tax code is only about 4,000 pages. The rest of it is explanations of those 4,000 pages. But I digress. There are two tax systems in our country. One system is for the informed, and there's one system for the uninformed. If you listen to Ron Siegel Radio enough, you're going to become part of the informed group. Borrowing smart, right? If you're using that all-in-one Home Select loan, that's going to help you get your home mortgage paid off in, I've seen as low as 2 years, as high as 12 years. Generally, we like to tell people 8 to 10 years. But your home will be paid off then while you still maintain liquidity. You got to look at this loan if you're serious about building wealth. And as a certified liability advisor, it's my job to help families build wealth through strategic debt management. That is the Borrow Smart segment brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. We've been chatting with Jim Norton this morning, and I brought up this concept that is part of the big, beautiful law. And again, I don't care whether you like it or don't like it. I don't care whether you're listening to the lies about young Kim that are on the commercials every day. I don't care. What I care about is how can you build wealth by using this law and minimizing your taxes. See, why would you want to pay taxes if you don't have to? You pay everything that's legally owed. I don't ever say don't pay what's legally owed. But if you can do something to minimize your tax liability, I'm all for it. So we're talking about the idea that the accelerated depreciation can be used on real estate. So why not minimize your taxes by going and buying a piece of real estate? What do you think, Jim?
I'm good, but I like this scenario better. Your scenario said, you get your home equity, you buy your other house, and you get your appreciation down. Let's focus on the majority of homeowners in that are out there with all the value and everything and the equity, blah blah blah, are of the senior nature. I'm not going to say what age group or whatever, but they're older.
Okay.
And a lot of them are thinking, okay, I've got my kids are done. I got the 4-bedroom, 2-story. I need to downsize. I really don't care where you're going to go. Let's just use the word downsize. You're going to go to something smaller.
I use the word right size.
Okay, let's use just the word right size. But whether you're leaving for Tennessee, Arizona, or you want to stay here, it doesn't really matter. You take your scenario. Don't put, most of them are putting their home on the market because they're almost paid off or they're paid off, and then they're taking that big chunk of money and they're buying the other house. Some of it's 1031 exchange, some of it they qualify under the, uh, I blanked on words, but you can take your deduction,
Your standard
and
deduction.
standard deduction, and then you can 1031 exchange the balance type of stuff. Okay, so we got that. But what if you kept that house, that 4-bedroom? You took your home equity, you did your home, your HELOC on it, and you use that money to buy your right size home.
Sure.
Okay. You rent out the other home. You don't give it up. You rent out your home because you also have a home in California where the rental market is so pent up that it makes the sale market look pale in terms of the amount of people looking just to rent. So you now have your home. You still own the home. You have it rented out, covering your costs. You now are using that home equity line to buy, and the appreciation to buy your right size home. You're coming out about the same spot in terms of your cash flow and your, cost of money. But now you've got your right size home and you kept your other home, rather than just a bunch of chunk of money that bought a home and then sits in the bank making 4%, maybe. If you could get up to 8% with no risk, that'd be a godsend, but it's not happening very well unless you have a lot of money, and then that's going to get you that, annuity or whatever product you're using. So think about it the other way. There's a lot of different ways to approach this problem, but the gift that we're being given is this.
So the term you're missing, Jim,
this tax write-off.
The term you're missing, and it's probably the most important term. And I think you're saying it's just not blunt. And I'm a little more blunt.
Okay, I like blunt.
It's cash flow.
Cash flow. Thank you.
Right?
I know. I agree with you. I was trying to make my scenario and I didn't have all the right words.
Yeah, but you're right. But the idea there is, if you take that equity and go and use that as as your down payment on a home, we call a HECM for purchase, or reverse for purchase, right? It's all about once you get into your golden years, whatever that means to you, because it's different for everybody.
Right.
Once you get to your golden years, it's all about cash flow.
Yes.
Right. I mean, can I afford to do the things I want to do while I've got the time to do them?
Right. Exactly.
And if that
am I going to continue that cash flow?
Right.
Because people are living longer. It's just flat out. People are living longer. It's going to get probably longer as some of these new things occur, and people are getting. I think people are trying to get healthier so that they do live longer.
Well, we definitely know people are trying to get healthier. We're just all we have to do is watch TV. I think I could probably sing. Well, I won't sing for anybody, but that Wegovy commercial or the Ozempic commercial, I don't know. Right. And if you look at what Lilly stock is doing, and, Mounjaro and Zepbound and Ozempic and Wegovy, and people, why are there millions and millions of people taking these products? Right. Yeah. Because we decided, something, I didn't know that I felt bad when I was at, 357 pounds, or when I was at 425 pounds, which I have been. Right. But, right now at 283 pounds, I feel better.
Yeah.
I didn't know I feel bad, but, I do know I can walk better. I can go and play with my grandkids better. So we're trying to get healthy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a wave that's going across. I mean, you can pick on which way you want to go, but they're trying to get rid of these food colorings and these things that have been, um, I was interested in reading about the fluoride. I don't know much about it. I don't know how much it's true. I'm not going to go run a lab test on it all, but they've been using fluoride in the water, but we could have reduced that, and that helps this and that helps that. But you got to think the human body isn't made to put all these chemicals
Right.
on top of as well. And so everybody's starting to eat just eat solid food, solid healthy food. You're going to get. I mean,
Let's say if we eat the food that God created
you
instead of the
know,
food
you
that man
read
made.
you read now. You read somebody passed away at 82, and you're like, that's kind of young.
Right.
That's your comment.
Yeah.
You know,
Especially as we get closer to that age.
well, especially, but like Ozzy Osbourne passed away at 76, and nobody said. I mean, the comment was, I didn't think he'd make it past 50. You know, and it's like, well, that's that lifestyle.
There is a
and
bit of a
everything.
lifestyle there, right?
But at the same time, you see that, somebody in your town just passed away at 85, and you're like, wow, he looks so good. And it's like, well, those habits on the way up maybe caught up to him at the end. But anyways, there's so many ways in real estate to achieve your goal and create cash flow. But you got to look at and see what your opportunities are for the product. And I think the problem is people make up their mind, this is what I have to do. And then they go out to a realtor, and the realtor says, you want to sell your house? Oh, I want a listing. And they just go along with it. And it's like, no, you got to sit down and say, well, where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve?
What are you trying to
There
accomplish?
are a lot of different ways to get there. There are DSTs. There are, if you don't want to be a landlord, you can get a DST. You can either try that or maybe even a professional management company. But yet you're still, remember, if you keep both houses, you're making at a minimum 3% appreciation every year. Because that's what the value of real estate
Right.
goes up on an annual basis.
That's a national
consistently.
number. That's not even California.
That's a consistent number that's been there for 30 to 40 years. So
I just had that conversation with somebody over the weekend or Monday. Monday, I was consulting with a family. They said, "Well, my house in Huntington Beach, I don't think it's going to appreciate to to the number that you said." And I said, "Okay, well, let's take a look." And I pulled up the real estate report card, and it showed that in that area, that zip code of Huntington Beach, over the last 63 years, has appreciated at 5.3%.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I can't guarantee it's going to grow 5% a year, but over the last 63 years, that's what it's averaged.
Right.
Well, it might not for the next 63. Well, you're right, but neither one of us are going to be here in 63 years, right? I mean, we don't know what the future is, but using an old number or a historic number is the best thing that we can do, because I looked at the 5-year number, the 10-year number, and the 63-year number.
Yeah, and then you've got those
63 is
spikes, those massive spikes that are in there. That's why you got to look at the long number. But still, and you add that 5% to if you're cash flowing the property with your however you finance it.
Quickly explain cash flowing.
Okay, so basically your income on the property is higher than your debt. Okay, your debt service.
You're making a little money on it.
You're making a little money. So let's say you decide to rent it out. You're making $200 extra a month plus the 5% appreciation. And so when you get down there and you say, okay, wait a minute, we got healthy. We're not, we're 72. We could live to 92. That's 20 more years. That property is going to be cash flowing.
We only got a couple
for you.
seconds left, but give me an idea on a property. If we rent it out today at market value, what can I guess? Just a real conservative number could I do as a rent increase on an annual basis?
Well, I'm not going to try to guess on that one because we're in California, man. And they're working on the statewide rent increase, which is capped, I think, at 10%. I'd have to go back and check.
But even if we said 3% or 4%.
But then there's different jurisdictions now have another cap on top of that. So
don't buy in those areas.
But you could easily do you probably could do at least 3% on inside the regulations. Again,
so that number is, so if you got a $3,000 rent, which is not a large rent number, next year it's $3,090, and the year after that it's $3,200, the year after that it's $3,300. Right. So it's continuing.
But again, let's preface that with do you want that much turnover?
Right.
Constant 1 year turnover, because remember, every time you turn it over, You might say, oh, I'm going to pick up $90 more this year. But at the same time, it costs you 250, 500,000 to clean the place up and get it ready for the next renter. You didn't make any money. You're better off with a longer term. Now you can only lease for 1 year in California, up to 2 years. But I've got some of my rentals. I've got 8-year people, and it's a pretty good deal.
Absolutely. If you want more information on this, give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. If you want to learn more about the informed tax code or tax system, just keep on watching on Ron Siegel Radio. I go to classes all the time on this stuff. So I'll be sharing more and more of that. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all our sponsors. Thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990 at ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.